Okay, Team Impact, it is Monday. We're going to be jumping into lesson 4-7. I'll be passing your quizzes back, get those, put those in the grade book. But today we're going to be dealing with dividing fractions, and you'll notice I had a blank sheet there. We're going to start with that, but we're going to be on lesson 7, dividing fractions. That's on page 317. Before we get to that, we need to review a term because I skipped a lesson because it was something I could teach here in about 2 minutes. But so let's go ahead and talk about it. The key word when you divide fractions, a word term called a reciprocal, and that's spelled Reciprocal. Reciprocal. Another way you could say that is reciprocate. Okay, so think of it this way: when we reciprocate with someone at Christmas, they give us a gift, we give them back. If somebody says hello, we say hello back. We're reciprocating, we're giving back. So essentially, a reciprocal is kind of close to the same thing in math. Okay, so let's talk about what a reciprocal is. If I gave you the fraction of 1/2, and I said, rewrite that as the reciprocal, you would write that as 2/1. Essentially, all we're doing is flipping that fraction. If I gave you the fraction of 3/4, the reciprocal of that is 4/3. To reciprocate in math is just to flip the fraction over, okay? If I gave you the whole number of 7, and I said, write the reciprocal of that, well, you would write 1/7 because 7 is 7/1, and the reciprocal of that is 1/7. So you're kind of getting the idea. Now, it's a little bit different when we get into a mixed number, which we'll talk about tomorrow a little bit more, but I'll go ahead and show you one. If I gave you the fraction or the mixed number of 1/2, and I said, well, write the reciprocal of that, the first thing you need to do, all right, is go ahead and change that to an improper, right? 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3/2. You'll notice these don't have equal signs, but this does. This is equal to this. Now, if we were going to reciprocate this fraction, we would reciprocate the improper version of it, and that is the reciprocal of 1/2. So kind of getting the idea. You're going to need to know that term, reciprocal, today. Let's get into the lesson, okay? First thing we're going to do is get circled up, and I'm going to flip to that, and page 321, and I'm going to circle 1 to 10, okay? Uh, that's essentially the whole first page. I'm going to crank these out, okay? Then we're going to jump to number 18, which is on page 323, okay? And we're going to go 18 through 26. So essentially, we're going to be doing just these 2 pages, and it's important that we get circled and organized, okay? All right, with all that being said, got a lot of groundwork done there. Let's go ahead and get started here and learn how to divide some fractions, which is very similar to multiplying fractions. We're just adding a step today, and that step is reciprocation, okay? So here we go. Let me go ahead and flip in here, and let's get to this page, our guided practice, which is on page 320. Sorry about that, it was focusing. Let me pull that up a little bit so you can see that page 320. All right. So divide the fractions and then check by multiplying. I'm not so worried about that. I am worried about doing the problem correctly. First thing we do when we divide 2 fractions is we rewrite the problem. So 1/4. And the next thing we're going to do is change this sign to multiplication, and we're going to flip the second fraction. We reciprocated that fraction, right? At this point, you can go ahead and reduce. So 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into that twice, nothing but ones on the top, over 2 and 1/2. Okay? We never, ever, ever reciprocate the first fraction. It's always the second. Okay? Let's try that again. 5, 6, change the sign, and flip the second fraction. Once you flip, you can look for top to bottom combinations. And you should be getting better at your factoring. So 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 6 twice. 5 times 1 is 5. 2 times 2 is 4, and that equals 1 1/4. Okay, 4 goes into 5 one time. 5 minus 4 is 1. The denominator doesn't change. I've talked to you about that in class. Okay, let's go. 1/8 times. Now, if you want to, start with that 3/1 like that. That will help to remind you to flip that second fraction because the reciprocal of 3/1 is 1/3. Nothing but ones on the top. And there we have it, 1/24. So not too bad. We just added a step. Let's take a look at this word problem down here, number 5. A neighborhood garden that is 2/3 of an acre is to be divided into 4 equal sections. Write and solve an equation to find the size of each. So we're going to take this 2/3 of an acre and divide it by 4. So the hardest part about this is really just getting set up. We have to understand that the 2/3 is divided by 4. 4 over what? 1. Okay. Now, we have to remember that division is not commutative, so we're not permitted to flip the order of these. So I'm going to go ahead and do it this way because I'm running. Actually, I'll just come down here and do it. 2/3. Can you see that? Yeah. Change the sign to 1/4. Factor out a 2. 1 times 1 is 1, and 3 times 2 is 6, and we get a 6th. A 6th of a what? A 6th of an acre. Okay? All right. Let's go ahead and flip the page here and maybe take a look at 2 or 3 more. I'm pretty confident that we're going to do okay with this. So we are. All right. So let's go ahead and do 1, 4, and 7 here. Okay. All right. So 1/8. 1/8. Change the sign. Reciprocate that second fraction. Talk to yourself. Okay. Be confident with yourself. Be positive with yourself. That's important. 2 goes into 2 once. 2 goes into that 4 times. 1/4. Okay. All right. I said we were going to jump down here. 1, 4, and 7. Let's take a look at number 4. 1/6. Change the sign, and we're going to reciprocate that second fraction. Any top to bottom combination? No. Remember, we're not allowed to go bottom to bottom. That's illegal. 1 times 7 is 7, and 6 times 4 is 24. So we end up with 7/24. Okay. Write a story context. I'm not worried about that or that. I just want to solve it. 5/6. Change the sign to 12/1. Look for top to bottom combinations. Just get into this routine. This is simple computation. We should not have any problem. 5 times 2 is 10. 1 times 1 is 1, which equals 10. Okay? And I'm going to pull back there because this is just reps that you need to do, and it's a lot of good factoring. All right, guys. Have a good day.